Jeff Brown is a frequent guest on this program when it comes to technology. He's the founder and chief investment analyst for Brownstone Research. He's the editor of The Bleeding Edge. And I've kind of asked him to step out of his expertise in some ways. He's not an expert on voting machines, but he is a tech expert. He spent 25 years as high technology executive. He's worked with Qualcomm, NXP Semiconductors, also Juniper Networks. And I asked him on Friday, tell me about the Dominion voting system. So he's gone to work over the weekend and over the last few days, and he's been doing his homework and looking for the odds of this being us being able to easily compromise the Dominion system. Jeff Brown joins us now. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Hi. Good morning.
So you started just using the user's manual. You went and read God bless you, man. You went and read the user's manual.
Well, it's not very exciting reading, but it's a great place to start. Obviously, it's accessible directly from Dominion, and we can see how the company essentially manages the voting machine and, of course, the security of the election process through its own technology. And it also goes to pretty detailed lengths to identify how much risk is actually involved in its own system, which might seem counterintuitive.
Yeah. So, first of all, can you access the voting machines easily? Can somebody from the outside with nefarious intent access these?
So the answer to that is absolutely. Now, there's some caveats. One is if we're talking about someone that's remote and not at the election or the polling center, the machine would obviously have to be connected. And as we learned, in several instances, they were connected to the internet. So if that, in a situation like that, people would be able to access these machines with the right credentials. Now, what's interesting, though, is that these machines are just like any computer that you or I would have. They have what's called an administrative password. And people that are in charge of managing these machines at the polling centers have access, essentially administrative access to the machines. Anyone that has the keys or the password to gain administrative access has the ability to modify, delete, alter, change election results.
But how hard would that be?
Not hard at all. In fact, as I reviewed the security of the platform, Dominion outlines in its user manual that with access, a user would have the ability to, for example, tamper with the device configuration. They can tamper with election result files. They can audit or change or manipulate the audit logs of the Dominion system. They can even tamper with transmitted election results. So they can give one thing to the Federal Election Committee and alter the data that's actually on the Dominion system. Now, what I found that was very interesting is that the mitigation for many of these security vulnerabilities were to implement, I'll quote, implement the proper process for access control for memory card handling and unit storage. So the solution was simply for humans, i.e. people that were working at these polling centers, to protect the memory card, which is easily accessible on the side of the machine.
So, wait. So could you take the memory card, change it, and put it back, or could you swap it out with a preloaded memory card?
Both. The only security mechanism to secure the memory card is one of those small little plastic strings that is supposed to provide evidence that there hasn't been any tampering. But you can simply cut that off, take out the memory card. You could even switch the memory card and put a new kind of tamper-proof plastic string back onto the Dominion system. It would be very easy to take one memory card out, put another one in. It would be easy to take out a memory card, alter the data and the information on the card before it was transmitted for final tabulations.
So can you double votes or change or flip votes easily? Can you just go into the software and do those things?
Yeah, so again, anyone that would have administrative access to the Dominion machine could easily do what you just suggested. And there's another mechanism that could also be used. After all, this is a software platform, and the ability to, for example, weight a vote. So for every one vote that's cast for one candidate, 2 votes could actually be tabulated.
Wait.
And
what?
A fraction of votes. You can.
Why would you have that? Why?
Well, there's only one reason, would be to manipulate the voting results. Dominion systems, I think, as you probably know, are used in some pretty nefarious countries where legal elections are.
Is this in the owner's manual that you can set it to count 1 for 2?
No, this is just an example of what you can do with programming the machine. But we read, as we saw, in the that it's been referred to as software glitches or a malfunction, or suddenly these machines stopped counting. Obviously, a simple explanation, the most simple explanation, could be that obviously the software was being tampered with, or different software was being used to change the voting results.
All right, so we have a motive, we have means it could be done, but we don't have any evidence that anything was done at all. So we're kind of going this through the back way. We're saying, do they have means, motive, and opportunity? Yes to all those things. However, that doesn't mean a crime has been committed. Is there any way to easily go and look at these machines and audit and know? I mean, usually when you'll make a change to software, you leave a trail.
Yes, that's right. And so the answer is yes. The right thing to do to get definitive proof would be to do a full software audit of the software on the machines in these swing states, where the voter fraud is heavily suspected. It would not be difficult to find the part of the software code that has been manipulated to produce different results. That's the beautiful thing about software. It just does what it's told. Mm-hmm. And so if it's instructed to miscount, then they can find, a software engineer can find exactly where in the code the software is that would cause false or fraudulent results.
It would seem logical that we would, as a nation, want to do this before and after every election. That we would.
Precisely.
I mean, I don't understand why we're working with archaic software. There's no reason for any of this in today's age, is there?
There isn't at all. And to make matters worse, it's almost as if the Dominion machines were designed to have several fail points. In other words, several major security risks.
Why would you say that it was designed that way?
Because no one, if they were building a system or a network, whether it be for a corporation or a government, no one would design these many security risks into a system if they wanted to keep the data and information unaltered and safe. I'll use Dominion's own words. For these different levels of tampering of audit logs or device configurations, they assign a risk rating. And in many cases, the risk rating is high. These are Dominion's own words.
Do you happen to have the book in front of you? Because you said in the notes that I got that on page like 452 to 469, they outline in detail the high and medium risk that ballots can be tempered with.
Correct. Yes. Page 452, tampering with device configuration. The risk rating is high. Page 455, tampering with election result files. The risk rating is high. Tampering with transmitted election result files, also on page 455, risk rating is high. These are just a few examples. Why would
from
you
their
do that?
owner manual? What
From their
would
own user manual?
I understand why Texas would reject this. Why would anyone buy it? Why would anybody buy something for elections here in the United States unless you wanted to tamper? Why would anybody buy that?
They wouldn't. I can absolutely assure you that any, for example, chief technology officer or chief security officer, they would never purchase a product with software that has all of these vulnerabilities for their business or their division of a government. They would never do it.
To pull something like this off, does it require, what level of sophistication would it require? And how big of a conspiracy circle would it require to change the votes in swing states?
Well, honestly, with if the bad actor is an insider, in other words, they work for the polling station, as long as they have administrative access, they can manipulate the votes. This is the system is no different than what consumers are used to in terms of working with, for example, a Windows-based system. These are normal kind of user interfaces. You wouldn't have to be, with administrative access, my point is you wouldn't have to be a software engineer to do it. Now, if you were remote and connected through the internet, then you'd have to have a different level of skills, and especially if you wanted to go back and make modifications and then basically cover your tracks and modify the audit logs. So the question you asked about whether or not you could audit it, somebody that was really sophisticated and wanted to do this on a wider scale could literally also alter those audit logs. Now, why? Again, to your question, you can actually design the system so the audit logs couldn't be altered, but they've designed the system so that they can be altered.
Unbelievable. Jeff, thank you very much. Jeff Brown, founder and chief investor analyst of Brownstone Research, also the editor of The Bleeding Edge. You can find him at his website, brownstoneresearch.com. Thank you as always.